what a man can do, a woman can do it better.
Yeah, it's just a mere statement.
but it's coming to reality.
It's not coming to reality. let me be
the men cannot do what the women are doing.
There is no way you equalize the volume of men's engagement, even in terms of military and security. You cannot even explain that even in crime. Yes, women can do crime, but in history, you measure number of crimes, and crime is associated with very high cost. And that's why even in economics, we refer to as like pollution. If you are to engage in large-scale production, you are also involved in large-scale emission of gas and other matters and pollution. So pollution cost will never be zero. So women naturally, yes, of course they can participate, but like I tell you, they are militated by cultural backgrounds. Cultural backgrounds is that there are businesses that women can easily undertake to do, like mining, take risks, you go on the ground. How many women can now organize themselves to go under beneath the soil? A
very few number, if they do exist.
If they do exist. So when you hear collapse in mining sector, all the victims are men because women don't take that risk. They prefer to stay at home, and that is why they are all employed. But at home,
it's safer outside the underground. Exactly.
Yes.
So initially you mentioned the gap in the rural area, jobs in the rural area and the urban area. Could you expatiate on that?
Yes, because in rural areas, first of all, not only skills. In rural areas, there are very few sectors that exist, and it is always within that same community. For instance, if you are making, for instance, gari processing industry, you see from the gari processing industry, right from the harvest, so planting of cassava, the harvesting of cassava, and then the processing of cassava, it involves low skill. And that is why many people participate. But in more of the core localities in our economy, you realize that there are very few potential skills required to maintain any job. But in urban areas, you find SMEs from the medium scale to larger manufacturing. You find bigger companies, and that is why you find an industry. For instance, Abajana is a rural community.
Okay.
But by the time Dangote located Abajana's main factory, that attracted so many jobs into that locality. So you find a situation where the locals, even if they are to be employed, very few engineers can be identified in those rural areas. The engineers has to migrate from Kano, from Lagos, from other parts of the world, because they are technical in nature. They need the skill to manage the equipment. But if it is just to go
if he was to open a farmland,
exactly. If you are to open a farmland, you find those who are maintaining the cutleries are very few in number, and they are employed. Those who will be servicing the generator in terms of irrigation purposes are very few, and these are skills, and they are employed. Now, even if you come in the reality into the financial sector, financial sectors are not in any way located in most of the localities because there is no enough security to safeguard the investment. And that is why most of these financial institutions are located in urban areas, and that is why in urban areas now provide an opportunity larger than local communities where professionals can come and try their skills in different sectors of the economy. Even if you talk of security, the number of manpower required to maintain a security in Kano Municipal may not be likely the same number that is required to manage security in Konkoso, that is a local government in Kano State. So these are some of the reasons why you find that many opportunities exist in urban areas, and that is why migration is also high from the rural to urban. But anybody who is migrating from rural to urban areas must possess a skill and qualification for him even to be part of the economic activity of that particular location.
Okay, that's an interesting insight, Malamisha Aliu. We are discussing the unemployment rate and how best government can curb that. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. welcome back from that short break. We are on Politics and Business TV, Business Focus. We are discussing unemployment and how best the government can work on it. With me is Malemisha Aliyu. Malemisha Aliyu, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so Malemisha Aliyu, what can government do on this rapid increase? Because in the first quarter is less, and then now it went up. So what can the government do?
Now, the Bureau of Statistics has already released an output from the economic activity of a state that unemployment is now added in our economy in the second quarter. So what is important is that the National Economic Team must sit down and look at these figures. The population census of this economy, the population commission of this economy must also look into the figures, and not only this at national level, our legislators too must also look into it. We are in a period of fiscal planning for 2024. True. There should be enough provisions of trying to provide sectoral allocation as at when due. There is also important also for our tax authorities to understand that tax is playing a greater role in reducing unemployment by giving some tax waivers, by giving low tax rate in most of the things that is consumed, so that people can keep. There is one issue that some other nations are doing best, that is trying to keep jobs. If you are to keep job, not to allow unemployment to occur, you have to look at the production cost. You go to production line, you now try and go to profit margin of those institutions to ensure that whatever this operational capacity they have, industries, that they can keep their workers. That is job keepers. Instead of trying to create a scenario where you have job seekers and you cannot provide the job. So the fiscal responsibility of our appropriation in 2024 should give emphasis in trying to create an industrial production scenario where profit will be enjoyed by companies rather than government taking through taxes, taking most of their gains. You know, when you are taking the taxes and trying to create an additional accruals so that you can reduce borrowing, this and that, yes, it is good, but to keep job in an economy is more important than collecting jobs and creating vacuums.
Okay.
This has to be understood. We have to keep our jobs.
Government needs to understand by reducing possibly the tax rate.
Yeah, and you can increase the tax base, but to reduce the tax rate.
Okay.
Ibn Khaldun once said that at the beginning of dynasty, low taxes take that dynasty to a higher stage.
Okay.
But at the end of the dynasty, that's when a dynasty is to collapse, there will be high taxes.
Okay.
And that high taxes will eliminate jobs and will eliminate manufacturing, will eliminate economic activity, and the state will fall down. We have seen that one in Greece, where the Greece, just a civilization that was able to rule all over the world, became a target of economic junks, where the total debt is greater than the total accruals of whatever the state at a certain percentage. So for an economy like Nigeria, moderate economy, emerging economy, this information from the Bureau of Statistics is now telling government policy makers that there is need to improve in welfare provisions. There is also need to control and protect industries from high taxes. There is also need to protect consumers, because because you want to raise revenue, you increase value added tax, and that value added tax erode the confidence of the consumer, where if you be able to buy a loaf of bread daily for 30 days, because of high taxes, prices of bread changes, and that reduces you from buying
for the whole of the 30 days.
For the whole of the 30 days, you are becoming, the economic activity is now reducing, and that reduction is now removing somebody from his job. Because when the bakery closes, because there are
people
no wise, people lost their jobs, and there is multiplier implication of that particular scenario. True. Because for a single household to lose job, it means that it's going to translate to other components that are also important as far as GDP composition is concerned.
Okay, so talking about that, you reminded me that some people have a lot of dependence on them.
Yes, especially in African nuclear family structure.
We hardly have nuclear families anymore. We have the extended family, like it or not.
Yes, we have extended.
Africans.
Yes, we are Africans, but to go by it, you see, structures are changing. Some people that belongs to family are no longer under anybody. Because of crisis, you find single individual. There was a story that was viral, an individual from Maiduguri that found himself in the middle of UK without nobody, no trace to his family, was taken away. So we have similar cases in our IDP camps, people who are no longer attached to any family. They just become a family of IDP, and it is not good. We have to keep jobs, and we have to provide security in an attempt to keep jobs. That is one fundamental issue. When you check the agrarian nature of our local community, especially in northern part of the country, where an individual breadwinner is the one providing for everything, but assisted by an extended family or the family cycle. So if they are all displaced, it means that the job that they have inherited, if I can put it that way, does no longer belong to them. And if they are shifted to IDP camps, they are now becoming hopeless. And it is a political scenario that we are trying to renew our hope. So in renewing our hope, we have to consider those who are hopeless so that they can join the queue of becoming rehabilitated and becoming part of the economy, and also becoming part of the effective demand community that will bring good GDP to our economy.
You mentioned renewed hope.
Yeah.
That's the slogan of the president.
That is the present administration.
True.
And if we are renewing hope, those who are having hope are even in a very good class. But those who are hopeless are the most dangerous, because somebody who doesn't have job, doesn't have family, doesn't have even where a shelter to call his own.
He has nothing
to lose. And we just have to know that number. And that is why agencies responsible, especially Refugee Commission, they have to be up and doing to assess the statistical body with the right information of how many refugees are in Nigeria, how many Nigerians refugees are also outside Nigeria, and what are the efforts to bring all this back to their communities and being protected so that they can continue to participate. Remember, before these disturbances, we are having much of our agri-food in abundance, in supply in abundance. But because many farmlands have been seized, many communities erased, all this contribution is now minus, is negative to the economy. And that is why even the GDP is declining. You see a situation where 2.52 is what is obtained by the Bureau of Statistics, being the GDP growth of this country, and we are targeting 6% GDP, and this economy is also targeting to have $1 trillion economy in the next 6 years. So there is need to build a lot of jobs. You know, when you are building job, even in a family of 6, if one breadwinner is assisted with additional job, you see how convenient that family will be updated. So the same update that family household witnessed in terms of increasing number of employment, that is what is GDP. Also in the higher, what is contributing to good GDP.
Okay, so talking about the present administration now, the past administrations have brought about the UWIN, the Shopee, and the university entrepreneurship development programs, and a lot of things like that. Do you think this present government has addressed that it would work on unemployment? Do you think it would come out with something similar, and do you think the ones from the past have actually served their purposes?
You see, past administration and this administration is an extension of administration. It has been proclaimed by the president today, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he's building on. So let us agree that now that they are even looking into the register of those who are beneficiaries of those programs, they are updating the register.
Okay.
In making an update, that is why I said holistically we have to work with the information and we have to identify the right people. And identifying them will help any administration to make his name in gold. Because statistics always give a guidance. And if a statistic is giving a guidance, the society also is listening. And that listening, researchers and people like us, we are following event, and we are making use of available data, and also sometimes we also use real time issues to make an experiment of whether it is successful or not successful. But however, I am hoping that whatever the policies government is bringing is a policy that will give hope to hopeless, increase hope to those who are hoping, and at the same time also government to make more commitment to see expansion in reality. How you get this in reality, it was an attempt by previous administration in 2020 to have a complementary, that is a prosperity in collective nature. Okay. Whereas if a senator is enjoying Nigeria, the last person in the last local government in Nigeria should also have that feeling that he is part of that collective prosperity. So whatever GDP is translating as far as the growth of the GDP, that should be reflected to all structures of our population, be it middle class, upper class, or lower class.
Okay. That's really interesting. Well, let me show you. Let's talk about the informal sector again, because it's actually contributing a lot. How should the government come in now to make it easier for them to actually grow to higher grades?
You see, the fundamental issue about informal sector in Nigeria, which is constituting above 88% of our economic activity, is that we need good business environment. We need secured financial institution. We need sensitization and orientation. True. Or we need intervention of government through right agencies, not through the Central Bank of Nigeria. Do you understand? Okay. Because if you see microfinance bank growing, that is showing you that the lower cadre of the economy is growing. But when you see microfinance being liquidated, is showing that people at the lower economic class are not getting prosperity. So therefore, it is important, if government is to bring this prosperity closer to people, to come with friendly policies. Sure. These friendly policies include policies that is attached to fiscal and monetary. This fiscal and monetary government intervention in terms of provision of critical infrastructure. This electricity that you are seeing is not only the availability of this electricity, but at an affordable rate.
Sure.
I am just going through China, is now generating electricity from undersea instead of doing hydro.
That's they have gone.
Yes, they have started generating. So there is no amount of pressure that would take away the.
They are not already, Malevishali. They're not at the megawatt.
They are not
level.
No,
they are above. And
they are above. Yes, and they are generating.
Because you are at the top.
We are looking at producing 5,000 to 10,000 megawatt. They are above 1 trillion megawatt. So these are fundamental, and that is why today Chinese nobody, no household that cannot feed himself in the entire China.
Sure. Because
they have developed friendly policies that is giving they're giving collective prosperity. If you have electricity in your home, I should not envy you. I have it at home.
Also,
if you have your job that is keeping you, I have also my job that is keeping me. There is no problem if you can become a billionaire. Sure. I can meet up with my standard. So these are the scenarios that we are looking government to look, and we can do it. It's not a rocket science.
Sure.
Nigeria before independence is not a poor country. It's an average developing economy. But now Nigerian economy is an emerging economy. Emerging economy where we are leading in different sectors. The entertainment industry, for instance, Nigeria is leading.
Sure.
The entire world rely on our musical band to perform so that they can dance. So, so if we have that scenario, we have the best scientists also that are operating. Professor Inaji was one maintaining the United States Nuclear Center. So if our professor, if a Nigerian would be maintaining nuclear center of the United States, what stop us from having our nuclear
here
at home? So these are things that we have to come. We should try as much as possible to dissociate ourselves from giving political appointment for those people who have just followed you and sing political songs. You should go beyond that in nation building. Rwanda is trying to prove to us that in African soil they can direct their economy to be as fashionable as Western economies. An average farmer in Rwanda can access loan at his locality, can access all the local input, and can sell his product from his locality. So they are all witnessing prosperity. This is the scenario that we want Nigerians to come and understand. If Lagos State should have beef as consumable, why not prepare it in the north and take it to them?
Sure.
Chicken are slaughtered somewhere and they are brought into Nigeria.
Sure.
Why must every time you see our road, you see cows moving? Because it has to, we have cows moving to particular slaughterhouse, and instead of taking meat packaged to the tables of the buyers and sellers.
Sure.
These are some of the things that we must come and put in agri policy, put industrial policy, look at our monetary policy that should be friendly, and not only friendly, and it should be cooperative enough to take the larger number of informal sector, because informal sector in all economies are the sectors that are driving the national GDP. Economic activities of those who are working only relies on paying pay as you earn tax and then producing nothing. These are some of the things that
So, Valemisha Aliu, looking forward to the next quarter and the that's statistics from the NBS, would you say we should expect an improvement, although we still have the inflation on ground and the subsidy removal? Would you say we should expect decrease in unemployment rate or an increase?
A reduction in unemployment rate must be a direct policy. You cannot, just because you see a change of 1%. Probably as a result of 1-2 factors, if you are to sustain it. That is why the United Nations and the World Bank are emphasizing on sustainable development goals, where whatever you get, you keep it, so that somebody that is having a job today is not looking for another job tomorrow because he is underemployed.
Sure.
We have to give productivity a price. And I'm happy that at the National Assembly presentation of Budget 2024, both the Speaker, National House of Representatives, the Senate President have emphasized reward for productivity. And this productivity should not be limited to only category of workers in Nigeria. If you are giving merit award, there are inventors. Remember that the Android phone was not developed by a professor in a university. Was developed by Steve Jobs, the street hawker. Most of the successes recorded in technological breakthrough is not recorded at the formal sector. It was recorded at the informal sector.
Sure.
So informal sector has a way of discharging responsibility if assisted to take any economy to a high level. And that high level is easy to achieve because rain fall is coming at no cost.
Sure.
Only input cost, because of the cost of fertilizer, the cost of a tractor.
True.
These are the costs that we must look into. And there is let me correct this impression. It was a wrong perception to think that it is only when agricultural output have higher prices that is when prosperity will be recorded by farmers. It is
we
wrong.
Actually have that.
So and that attempt is what causes these disturbances in people's income today. Sure. Because of high inflation. We thought when farmers are getting more money, they go to Hajj. Few of them, that is what will record prosperity. At the end of the day, farmers cannot go to Hajj, business people cannot go to Hajj, because of inflation and dollar exchange rate.
True. So, Malamisha Ali, you dissected this beautifully. Thank you very much for coming into Business Focus.
Thank you.
You're still on Politics and Business TV. We just discussed unemployment in Nigeria and how best government can work on it. I am Maria Ado-Zakari, Have a good day.